Hey, good evening, everyone. Sorry to break up the party. If it's okay. If we're not intruding on the festivities. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of council of July 19th, it being 7:01. I'll call the meeting to order. Council, any concerns, conflicts? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda, please. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. It's my pleasure to declare the I lost my page here, but don't drown. That's the main message for the delegation, the proclamation. So I do declare that the week of July 16th to 22nd be National Drowning Prevention Week in the District of Sechelt. We'll move on to business items, council. We've got before us item 5.1, which is a modification agreement at the airport. Anything, Ms. Paulson, you want to reference or stands on it?
No, your worship, I believe all the relevant information is included in the staff report.
Okay, very good. Any questions, council? In which case I would be, whoops, please. Yes.
Yes, I was wondering if we could get a little bit of background on these leases, how many there are and if they cost anything. I don't know anything about them and there's nothing in the report. Thank you.
Okay. I think I can offer you, it's a fairly nominal amount, but the agreement started about more than 20 years ago, and it's been continuing. Anything you could add, Ms. Paulson?
I defer to Director Douglas.
Oh, that would be why he has his microphone on.
If I may, through the chair.
You may, please.
So just to ask back a question. Is that a separate report you're looking for? Just information on the whole airport and its operation type of leasing?
Just regarding this particular item, what do they lease? And
Yes.
oh, I'm sorry.
Pull it closer.
In relation to this particular item, to the chair, what do they lease? And, you know, it costs a nominal amount. What is that nominal amount? And for how long? And there seems to be no terms on this. Thank you.
Okay, very good.
So through the chair, we can provide some of that information. However, so this is a transfer of ownership. The reports about ownership change.
Actually of a licensee for the agreement. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's no change in the existing agreement. It's just a change of the parties to that agreement.
Yep.
So in that respect, perhaps it's not directly relevant to the business today, but it's probably warrants a more fulsome report on what are we doing at the airport. And that ties into the airport master planning that we are getting started on, I believe. Seeing some nods. So for the business today, it's just, are we supportive of the Scots coming off and Mr. Spaney going on?
Well, it's hard to know if I don't have any background on this. You know, it's.
Well, but the background
irrelevant.
is just what I've
Thank you.
what I've referenced. Okay, so okay, the motion. Okay, so you move as presented on page 5 of our agenda package. I saw Councillor Bell and now Councillor Toth seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Councillor McLaughlin is opposed and the motion carries. Council, then we've got a couple of committee appointments. The first one is for the Regional Accessibility Advisory Committee, and this is on pages 10 to 18. In particular, I guess the key thing in here is that we are looking for a member of council to be appointed as a liaison, a non-voting member of this committee with an alternate as well. So I'll enter. Just anything, I think we'll just entertain questions. Any questions and any volunteers? So if you put your hand up, you're gonna volunteer. Yes, please.
Chair. I'm just curious about a little bit about the history of the advisory committee. Have we had one of recent, or is this something that we're bringing back again? I know it's provincially mandated, but
I
have we
think
had one in the
that's
past? Yes.
in years ago, I think
Mm,
I
okay.
recall, but this is provincially
Mandated.
Mandated.
Yes, yes, correct.
thou shalt
Okay.
do it.
It was kind
So
of like starting again in a way, restarting.
I wouldn't know how to respond to that part, but
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
this is a very different
right.
structure.
Okay, great.
Hopefully, what
and-
I would be slightly irreverent, but hopefully the province realizes by mandating this, they'll also need to send us some money to deliver on it.
Exactly. Exactly. So that was my question.
Okay,
Where's the money?
Thank you. Yes.
Show
Okay.
me the money.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Any other questions? And I'll ask the loaded question. Would anybody like to volunteer to be our representative on the committee? Counselor Inkster is absent. Counselor McLaughlin, would you entertain this?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I noticed a report is due September 1st, 2023, so I don't see how that can possibly be done in the terms of reference in that time frame. So I plan to be doing other things in the next
Mhm.
month and a half. Thank you.
Okay, I wonder, I did see that as well, and there's a couple of perhaps typos or things that would need to be adjusted, but I didn't read that deadline as a fixed one at all. There's no, I don't think, I stand to be corrected, but are there any impacts if we were to be late on doing that? Because Councilor McLaughlin is correct. We're not going to get that done in 5 weeks. So I'm getting a no consequences if we're later.
No, there are no legislated penalties for not meeting that deadline.
Okay. Councillor Rowe.
I'll nominate Counselor Toth.
And by the way, we need an alternate. There was a motion, so.
Oh,
Wow, not if it's not seconded.
I was seconding it.
All right, order. Okay, it's seconded. Yes, Councillor Shepherd.
I will volunteer as an alternate if Councillor Toth is taking the liaison position. Thank you.
Well,
I don't know that I have to at this point.
yes, little birdie whispered in my ear. I think he might. Okay, so within perhaps procedurally, we could just modify the recommendation in front of us. So could I have a motion for items 1 and 2, and that number 3 be rephrased, that Councillor Toth be appointed a liaison to the committee and that Councillor Shepherd be appointed as the alternate to the committee? Moved, seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? You opposed? Motion carries. Great, thank you, Councillor Toth and Councillor Shepherd. Now to a very big one. This is a appointment to attend a meeting at UBCM for the Municipal Insurance Association. And as council knows, I will not be at that meeting, but we need 1 appointee and 2 alternates. And I would let council know, I think it might have been copied to everyone. Councillor Inkster has offered to be the appointee. So I don't feel we are ganging up on him in his absence if we were to appoint him. In that case, motion to do that. And then the alternates. Who would like to be alternates? Okay, yes, I did have that in my notes. Okay, so a motion, Counselor Toth to appoint, I'm leading the witness.
Sure, I will move that Councillor Inkster be appointed as voting delegate at the MIA BC Annual General Meeting on September 19th, 2023, and Councillors Shepherd and Bell be appointed as alternates.
Thank you. And seconded, Counselor Rowe. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. So then the Seashell Community Safety Select Committee appointees on page 21. Anything, perhaps I should ask Counselor Rowe if she has anything she would like to offer or add to the discussion.
Thank you through the chair. So we have had two meetings, first one of which I was quarantined in my house, so I did not attend. Councillor Bell kindly chaired for me. And we went into these meetings with being one person short. And between the first and the second meeting, Patrick, whose last name I can never say, who's a case manager for Vancouver Coastal Health for the vulnerable population, stepped up and volunteered to be on the committee. What we weren't clear about, probably because I wasn't there, was that we're actually looking for somebody from the residents group, if you will. So the idea with the safety committee is that there's a wide spectrum of the population around the table. So we have representatives of the vulnerable community, business, residents, and community service providers. So ultimately, we were looking for somebody from who lives in the downtown area. So that being said, there are sort of ad hoc members that we know that we're going to utilize because they have they're subject matter experts in whatever area it may be. He is certainly one of those. That doesn't, not having him as a voting member per se doesn't preclude him from attending and having tons to offer. He's been doing what he does all over BC for many years. And the relationships that he has in this community are going to be key to the success of this committee. So I also don't want to disengage him, but generally speaking, the members of the committee aren't people that are there during their workday, if you will. They're not service providers, so to speak. So I'm sort of wanting council's thoughts on this. Should we continue to look for somebody from the community association or the community down there? I am going to speak to the Village Community Association at their get together in August. So that's kind of where we're at, and I'm just wondering what where they sit with it.
Thank you, Counselor Rowe. I guess for me at this point, I'd just offer, first of all, I'd like to clarify Jill Hemmings is not being removed. Sounds like she's done something inappropriate. She is asked to be replaced perhaps. So within that context, perhaps any motion might reference that, replaced. I'm fine with this recommendation for the moment, but I'd like to encourage the committee to come back saying, hey, we'd like more members of the public from all forums, plus the experts that you've got on your committee. But you can bring that back at a later meeting.
That's fair. And I do hope to, Pat has worked really hard to try and engage some residents from down there, but
Patrick. And I'm just clarifying. 'cause
no,
it's-
Pat
Okay.
Dalglish, yes,
Yes.
has been working hard and I think
Yeah.
that we will have some success.
Yeah.
But I also am super stoked to have Patrick around the table.
Mhm.
And I'll talk more about the committee in my report.
Very good. Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, through the chair, I'm just wondering if there's going to be any minutes or reports from these meetings so we can be
Yes.
kept up to date. For instance, the meetings you've had already, I don't know what's transpired.
Yes,
you.
there will be, minutes have been prepared. They will probably come to the meeting on August 2nd. They're quite comprehensive over the last few, well, 2 months, I guess. So. Councillor Bell, please.
Through the chair, to Councillor Rowe. I guess in general, I support certainly, speaking to more people from the Seashell Village community or in that area, if you wish. But I also would support Pat as well as being, I think, a valuable, no, Pat Dalglish.
Yes.
I think she
So-
does have a lot to offer. She lives right in that area. The great thing is that she's very positive about wanting to, do something about these.
So are you looking to make a motion
Yeah, I'd like to make a
for
motion.
1 and 2?
Yes, 1 and
Okay.
2.
With 1 saying replaced instead of removed?
Yes, replaced is fine. Yeah, rather than removed. Yes.
I don't want
Yeah.
Ms. Hemmings upset with me. Okay, that's moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Council, we can then move to 5.5, and this is the Habitat for Humanity Strata Title Conversion Report. I believe Mr. Hall is here to give us some background perhaps briefly and fire away.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Council. So this is for the Habitat for Humanity multifamily project out in Wilson Creek. It is a strata development and they're working on the last phase of the phase strata plan. And the situation is where normally a phase strata subdivision would simply fall under the approving officer purview like another subdivision in terms of approving the overall plan or any subsequent phases. When buildings have been occupied in advance of those approvals, the province under their legislation requires council to make a resolution to endorse that conversion of a previously occupied building before the approving officer can make the decision on the final phase. So that's basically what the report is here for you tonight. And this is something that's occurred on the property a couple times in the past. So this is just for the final phase for this development. In order for the approving officer to be able to approve the final phase, council has to approve this because the buildings have been occupied in advance of those approvals.
Thank you. Your time's up. Okay, council, any questions to start with? Councillor Toth.
Thank you. No questions. I think it speaks for itself and Habitat does great work. So happy to move the recommendation on page 24.
Okay, and the second, okay. Then any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Very good. And we get to very hot topic in the province, the RCMP. So this is before us, Mr. Douglas. I know you've given us a summary of a very lengthy, complex letter. Thank you for that. Is there anything you want to highlight or emphasize?
I think I provided us, a lot of the information there. A number of years ago, we had 11 members funded by the municipality there. And the district went through the process of asking for an additional one, so 12. And so that was us asking. The 13th one that they're asking for is really coming from the staff sergeant there through us. So we still have to make the request, but you know, they're they're looking to add, you know, a 13th municipal member and then 4 provincial members too. You know, it's kind of like 1/3, 2/3. So it's 1/3 municipal or district and 2/3 provincial members. So to keep in line with that, they're asking for 4 members. But I'll take any questions from the province, provincial side.
Asking for 1 and 3 or 1 and 4?
They're asking for 1 and 4
Yes.
because we've already provided 1.
Right.
So it's really 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, right? To keep it a third. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if there's any questions, I
Yes,
can
thank
answer.
you. And this is your recommendation is approval in principle, but there's a lot of work between now and the final agreement.
Yeah, there's kind of 2 steps to go through. And you know, I think we should be cautious with the next step. If they haven't got provincial approval for the 4 members, we would want to maybe pause for a year just to keep that ratio, right? So or see what the province will give, because maybe they'll only go for 2 members, you know, and then we'll have a decision to make, you know, based on knowing that information.
Okay, questions, council? Okay, does anybody, a motion, Councillor Bell? Okay, thank you. As written? All right. And is there a seconder? I see a second. Thank you. More discussion, any discussion? Okay. All in favor? Carried, thank you. All right, thank you for that, Mr. Douglas and everybody. Now we go to the rezoning application for 5535 Shorncliffe Avenue. And a reminder to council, we had a public hearing a few minutes ago, so it's kind of unusual. We're discussing this matter, but in a slightly different component of it. So I think we're okay to proceed. And I guess, Mr. Hall, anything you want to add to this?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just to summarize, we have the rezoning application for 5535 Shorncliffe involving both an amendment to the OCP as well as to the zoning bylaw. The public hearing held earlier tonight dealt only with the OCP amendment bylaw. The zoning amendment bylaw was missing a site-specific density regulation that needed to be in there. So we removed it from the public hearing and brought the bylaw to council now for considering second reading as amended, so we can incorporate that provision into the bylaw. And that would basically just mirror what the change to the OCP is, noting that the proposed zone for the property has a default density provision in it that would be exceeded by the proposed application. So the zone itself had to have the site-specific regulation. And then once the bylaw has second reading to incorporate that change again, we would like to schedule a second public hearing for the zoning bylaw only. And you know, due to the separation of bylaw and hearing, we can focus on the need for the zoning, the land use change itself. And just to note for council too, we've been working with the applicant on moving the development permit application forward as well. So the rezoning and development permit are all kind of proceeding forward as we move all these pieces together.
Very good. Thank you. Council, how do you wish to proceed? Councillor Toth?
Thank you. Yeah, I think we've spent enough time talking about this. I'm happy to move recommendations 1 and 2 as presented on page 58.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Yes, I see a second. Discussion, Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you to the chair. I was just looking at the ad that was in the Post Reporter
You need to speak in.
regarding the public hearing.
Yes.
And it doesn't mention that it was for an OCP change. It says for a rezoning application. And I'm just wondering if that's incorrect, because we had a OCP discussion today, not a rezoning application discussion today.
Okay, I'll allow it. Mr. Hall.
Sure. I mean, we use the term rezoning generally to deal with both changes to OCP and zoning amendments. So the public hearing ad did reference both bylaws. But we use the term rezoning application to cover off applications that either are changing both OCP and zoning or just the zoning bylaw. It's a generic term, and within the ad itself, we're specifying the bylaw or bylaws that are subject to the hearing. So both OCP amendment and zoning amendment bylaws were referenced in the ad, so that meets the requirement. We just use the term rezoning as a general term.
Okay. Okay, so we're not, okay, so in terms of this matter before us, there will need to be another ad and a notice and the usual process. So, okay. Other questions, Councillor McLaughlin?
Well, I have comments, of course.
Well, but, okay, go ahead.
I'm generally not in support of this moving forward at this time. I noticed that we had some information on water from the RD, that the water that we have is very limited, much more limited moving forward. And I noticed too in the binder that the First Nations pointed this out in the their May letter, but also with this news, and we've been working with them on the summits,
Councillor
that it is a
McLaughlin?
real issue that we.
But this is built and occupied. So how does,
Oh.
are you proposing that? Like, how would that change? How does the concerns which we all share about water? In terms of this application or this matter before us?
Sorry, which item are you on? I just want to have clarification.
Habitat for
Oh,
Humanity
sorry.
strata title
I
conversion.
jumped ahead here.
No, sorry. Now it's my turn. Yeah, we're on Shoring Cliff.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're not,
Right.
you're on
I
the
beg
wrong
your
one.
pardon. I
I'm
am.
on the right one.
Yes, you're
Thank
quite
you.
correct.
I know it's a hot day, so
Yeah.
we'll let you off the hook.
Oh, well,
Yes, so also, you know, the upzoning of this, we were told that the developer needs it in order to make it rental. But, you know, they're getting 50% more units out of it. They're only having 9 units put aside for only 15 years of subsidized housing. So I just think it's more about money, unfortunately, and not so much about meeting the community needs and especially our water needs. And as we were told at the public hearing today, there's a lot of institutional or social uses there, that people there are most needy people in society, and they're going to take the brunt of this development, which is going to be basically dug, built, blasted, or somehow chemically put in to the side of the hillside here. And I think between the construction issues and the road issues, for instance, the school district has mentioned that they need a roundabout built for them, and there's no amenity contributions from this project. It's only density that they're providing, and it's density really that we're giving them. And I just think it's way too much to give away at this point.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments, council? I will respond because I think the urgent need we have is met by this application. We need rental housing. And I think we're desperately short of housing to provide so many services. So that's why I'm particularly in favor of this project. Anything else, council? No? Yes, Councilor McLaughlin.
Thank you through the chair. If I could just respond to that. I feel that our short-term rentals have been eating into our
It's fine.
long-term
We've heard that.
rental.
We've heard that.
I
Thank
noticed
you.
on VRBO, there's 800 listings for
Thank you,
Seashell
Councillor
Sunshine
McLaughlin.
and over 300 on Airbnb. So if you want those housing units, we should be getting them back by implementing our SCR requirements. Thank you.
Which we are doing. Okay. Okay, anything else? Anything else, Councillor McLaughlin?
Thank you. That's it.
Okay. So council. Since I was lost a minute ago, did you moved 1 and 2? Okay, and that was seconded. I'll call the question. All in favor of the 2 recommendations? Opposed, Councillor McLaughlin is opposed. The motion carries. Council, that brings us to the bylaw itself. And this is before us for amended, well, for second reading as amended. So if I could have a motion and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried, opposed, Councillor McLaughlin is opposed, the motion carries. Thank you, council. We'll move then to Lot 5 Tower Road on page 62 on our agenda. And again, Mr. Hull, how would you like to proceed, sir?
Thank you. Yep, so just to summarize again, this rezoning application for Lot 5 up on Tower Road is an OCP compliant rezoning. So we just have the zoning amendment bylaw before council for second reading. And if second reading was granted, then we would look to schedule a public hearing at some point. We would also note the recommendations. The applicants have agreed to a community amenity contribution in alignment with our policies, which would be a payment of $162,500 to be split 50-50 between community amenity and affordable housing reserve funds. And the other proposed rezoning condition following on with other rezoning applications that they would confirm their water demand reduction and conservation plans that we would be looking to implement through the development permit process. So we do have their initial sort of water conservation report that we've reviewed, and we'll be working further with the applicants on that to confirm what exactly they propose to do, and exploring whatever mechanisms we need to secure either the rezoning or development permit to implement their proposed approaches. Otherwise, the zoning amendment bylaw remains unchanged. And it's a mixed residential development involving a wide range of housing, single detached, duplexes, townhouses, etc. So it provides a mix within the subject property.
Great, thank you. Council, how do you want to proceed? Questions first? Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I am concerned that to me, this particular development does not meet the OCP in terms of conservation design principles. If you look at the OCP, it kind of shows Tower Road as an example of how not to do conservation design. And yet this just seems like another kind of cookie cutter approach to exactly that kind of development. So I don't think it's appropriate at all for conservation design. And also it suggests that parks be put in the center of the development instead of on the edges. And so that's definitely not being done in this development. Again, I would wish that this planning department would have done an overall bit of a community design to design a complete community with organized park spaces and an overall community plan for this
Councillor
area. But
McLaughlin, if
I
you
don't
please
see that here. Thank
speak
you.
to this matter, not broader issues. Okay,
Community design for this community is
Yes.
a direct
so you
issue.
made
Thank
the
you.
point that you think the park should be in the center. I believe that's in this respect. Councillor Toth.
Thank you. I'm really curious to know what Councillor McLaughlin means by conservation design.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes, all right.
Yes, thank you through the chair. One example I have is a project I worked on in Victoria, which was the Christmas Hill development, where there was kind of a comprehensive design where instead of building larger lots or even small lots with houses on it, what they did was do townhouses and cluster housing where they ended up dedicating part of a Gary oak forest to be joined with another Gary oak forest that was already there. And made a beautiful development by just looking at the overall area and looking differently at the community. And so it was implemented, designed, you can go there and walk it and find it. And it really nicely integrates nature and sustainable elements. And the builders made their money fine. And it's a very lovely neighborhood with lots of paths, Gary
Can
oak
I-
trees, et cetera. Thank you. That's
Yes,
what I mean
can I-
by it. Cluster housing.
Okay, because you talked about conservation design, and I thought that was some professional standards. But your example, I think you're saying, is a great project that seems to have worked well.
It's neighborhood design.
Mhm.
And so you have
But
to
there's-
start from the overall and work your way in. And that means smaller houses that are cluster, that share parking, that are not a typical subdivision. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. Yep. I think, okay. And I think this achieves much of what you're talking about. If could we be more dense, I suppose? Please.
Through the chair. Well, it's not about the density in that regard. It's about where you put the density. And also I am concerned about these developments in terms of the fire interface issue. We were told by the fire chief at the last meeting that in fact, having houses further apart when you're near a forested area is really important. And beyond that, I think it's also very important, which is something if you want to get into building design, that the previous fire chief said is that maybe we should be sprinklering all of our new homes because we do live in a very fire prone area here with drought. And that particular area I know is quite beautiful in terms of feeling Mediterranean, but it's very hot and to me, even more fire prone in some regards. The landscaping should also be fire smart landscaping, not what we think as xeriscaping anymore. I think it's going to be even more challenging to do design there than that. So, I mean, I think it's worth sort of rethinking our design standards right now and moving forward. We could actually put ourselves on the map for being leaders and doing innovative design that addresses our water shortages and the apparent fire risk for all of BC, which is on everybody's minds these days. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else, council? Okay, so we have this before us for second reading and the further directions as recommended by staff on page 62. Sorry, that's a
Question.
question, please. Yes.
Thank you. I've actually just got one more question. We've got a number of projects that we've asked for developers, project planners to confirm their water demand reduction in their conservation plans. I know we have yet to start to really see those come back to council. But I'm wondering if the developers and applicants are actually talking to each other to share ideas. Or are we getting everybody having to reinvent the wheel? Thank you.
Right. I'm not sure. Do I look to Mr. Allen to comment or?
Thank you, Your Worship. I can't confirm if they've been speaking to each other, but we're coming to a common theme where the collection and harvesting of rainwater is becoming a preference for developers as opposed to gray water, primarily for cost, simplicity, and so forth. And it's why we moved away from that recommendation of choosing either one of those and more into this general recommendation to provide us with a conservation design plan for, pardon me, a water conservation plan. And we're seeing results and making some progress. And many of these are in early stages, and a lot of those are presented in more detail when assuming the rezoning application goes through and we get into development permit. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Councillor Bell, please.
Through the chair, I think one of the things that I'm seeing, at least since I've started, is that we are evolving into having water conservation as part of these developments now. And so I think it is an evolution. I think we're certainly, that's a bare minimum that we will see some conservation plan in here. And I think that's a great start and that this will continue to evolve.
Mhm. Okay,
Thank you.
great. Councillor Shepherd.
I'm supportive of Councillor McLaughlin's idea of looking at additional methods of water conservation, fire smart ideas. I just think that is a separate discussion that's got to take place at a council of the whole meeting. This is the recommendations in front of us. Are we proceeding with this or not? I think that's the issue right now. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I'm also quite concerned about, I don't believe that these particular units being infill units, as you call them, not really conservation
Count
sign,
to me, please.
are they allowed to have basement suites? Now, my understanding is they're not permitted because they're small lots. On the other hand, we have the idea of homes for people, right? But we don't know what that's going to
Me,
mean.
please.
So I think we should hold off till we hear more about that, which should be in September, October, and how it will impact us, because we might want to take quite a different approach and look at these things. We already have, I counted, between things in the hoppers, some ready to go, some subdivisions, that we have about 1,000 dwelling units in the planning system already. So it's not like we need to add more and there's nothing to do. I'd rather hold off and come up with some better approaches if possible and move forward. I think also looking at water amounts according to the SCRD and looking at some of our assumptions about demographics, about growth, about water usage, and just see if we can come up with a bit of a plan together on how to move forward instead of just approving more development applications. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I didn't get a motion. Counselor Shepherd.
I'll move that council approve the recommendations 1, 2, and 3 as presented on page 62.
Very good, thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconded. Oops. So council, anything else? This is great. Get myself on the right page, sorry, folks. Yeah. So this is on page 62, the recommendations as drafted. So we're on the right page, on the right track. Okay, call a question. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor McLaughlin is opposed. The motion carries. We then move to the bylaw on page 67. And this is before us for second reading. We can have a motion and second and discussion. Please.
Thank you through the chair. Looking at the floor plans, et cetera. I don't see that there's basement suites in these side-by-side units, but
Yeah.
Hmm?
Run the bylaw for the town.
Yeah. So we're now,
sorry.
yeah, we're now
I jumped in.
discussing pages 67 onwards. Yeah. Just the bylaw itself, the structural or procedural item. So this is before us, moved and seconded. Call a question, all in favor? Opposed, Councillor McLaughlin, motion carries. Also, we then go to the for adoption of zoning amendment bylaw 580-1 2022. As I say, before us for adoption. Is there anything people would like to? Well, maybe I'll take a motion first and then we can discuss, entertain questions. Thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconded. Okay, now questions, discussion? No? Okay. Okay.
Yes, thank you, the chair. I was just getting a jump on my comments there. But I do notice that they do look like the units could be used for SCRs with rear access and bedrooms and media rooms and sort of kitchenettes in the basement. So that does kind of raise some concerns. I still think to just get one additional dwelling unit for the amount of effort and work and the turmoil it caused the neighbors in the subdivision, I think there must have been more constructive ways we could move forward with finding one dwelling unit for people to live in Sechelt. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anything? No? Okay. This is before us for adoption. I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed, Councillor McLaughlin is opposed, the motion carries. And the bylaw then, the actual bylaw document on page 88 onwards is before us, of course, for adoption. Motion please and seconded. Okay, any discussion? This is page 88. Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed, Councillor McLaughlin, the motion carries. Thank you. So council, we then go to a bunch of minutes. So starting on page 90, the regular council meeting of July 5th. Anything from our corporate officer, anything you want to highlight or any?
I believe there were a couple of minor amendments brought to staff's attention. I'm just pulling up some notes on that.
Okay. Need the music from Jeopardy.
Okay, nothing for item 7.1. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So council, motion to adopt, adopt the minutes of the meeting of July 5th. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried. We can then go to the regular meeting of June 21st, which starts on page 96. Perhaps that should be the question. Anything for this?
Yes, thank you, your worship. There's a couple of corrections that could provide some additional clarification. On page 105, section 10.2, there's a reference to Cooper's Green Park and Cooper's Green and Connors Park. So we can correct that to refer to Cooper's Green and the Connor Park as separate items.
So insert the words green and, yes. This is at the first paragraph of 10.2.
The last sentence refers
Yeah.
to Cooper's Connors Park, and it's to just remove the reference to Cooper's.
Right.
On page 106, the third line needs a reference to the operations center. The minutes currently just refer to the facility. So we'll replace the word facility with operations center. And there's a minor formatting correction needed on the fourth line of the resolution. It doesn't change any of the content. It just provides continuity of
Near
that
the bottom of the,
sentence.
near the bottom of the page. Okay. Yep. Okay, great. So with those amendments, I guess a motion will be as amended, but first, Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you, to the chair. On page 104, under item 8, the last bullet said, currently no latecomers agreement is proposed for the Wakefield lift station. I remember bringing that point up. I don't think it's proposed. I was told none was permitted. There's a difference.
Mhm. So you're, given these are minutes as opposed to matters arising, your understanding is that the comment made was that no latecomers are permitted.
Right.
Okay. Yep. Okay, I'm seeing a nod that, so we'll amend it to say currently no latecomers agreement is permitted for the Wakefield lift station.
Or eligible, your worship. It's a capital project, so it doesn't relate to latecomer agreement for development applications. So it's just simply not eligible for latecomer.
Okay, so we can say no latecomers agreement. What's the wording? No latecomer fee, yeah, okay, the Wakefield lift station costs are not eligible for latecomer agreements. Is that okay, Ms. Wall? You got that? Okay, great.
Just a question, who builds the lift stations like Wakefield? Who built it? Does the municipality always build those? Or
No.
do developers build it?
Well, first of all, it's being built by a contracting firm.
I
So
know,
you're
but
saying who owns
pays
it?
for it? Who pays for it originally to build it?
Please.
Your worship, and although Director Dillon is online, but I would
Oh,
venture
yeah.
to guess it's a combination of capital project as well as development driven. Ripple Way in West Porpoise Bay, for example, has lift stations constructed by the developer,
So,
for example,
I-
whereas this one, the one on the highway near Norris Bay Road, have been replaced by District of Sechelt through our capital program.
okay, yes.
Well, right, I guess my
So
concern is.
both,
yeah.
it might, it's
Yeah.
one, it could be.
We
either
could have
or.
built a smaller one and had developers build a bigger one for the huge capacity we have there now
Okay.
at a later time. That's my point. Thank you.
Okay. So, and this is the minutes. So with these amendments. Motion, thank you, as amended, Counselor Toth moves and Counselor Bell seconds. All in favor of the minutes? A favor, Counselor McLaughlin? You're in favor. Yes, thank you. All right, then we go to the meeting of April 5th. And my computer has just had so perhaps the obvious question is, was there a reason why we're getting these minutes now? Is there anything, I mean, is there anything we need to know about being held back or held up or just slipped through the cracks or?
No, your worship, it is simply a matter of timing and providing some additional oversight on the minutes production and review process.
Great, thank you. Okay, I have nothing on those minutes, so motion to adopt, yes. Okay, second, thanks. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. And, okay, Committee of the Whole meeting of June 28th for receipt. I'm reading June 28th on item 7.4. Should be on page 117. Anything from Ms. Olson?
Yes, your worship. Point of clarification was noted on page 118 of our agenda package. We refer to the the second bullet point above number 4 refers to continues to develop safe highway pathways and bike paths. The suggestion was to remove the word highway, just to clarify that it would develop safe pathways and bike paths in general.
All right, thank you. Anything else on? No. Okay. This is before us for receipt. A motion to thank you and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried, thanks. And now, Counselor Toth, Committee of the Whole meeting of June 14th. Anything, folks? Anything, Ms. Polson? Nope. A motion then, please. Thank you, and seconded. And all in favor of receipt? Thanks. Okay, so we then go to counselor reports. Oh, APC, beg your pardon. So the APC meeting minutes, I will say I always find these interesting because I think most of council doesn't attend regularly, so it's not really, we can attend, but it's not part of our formal role. So it's always interesting to see what the committee is working or the commission is working on. Anything before us for receipt, so. Yeah. Seconded. All in, sorry, any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, so for some reason I've lost my agenda package, so just a second, we go to. Oh, there. I knew we were going to council reports. Oh, dear. Biggest challenge, who gets to go first? Counselor Bell, how about we? See, I look to the right. and-
So just one quick one. On Saturday, July the 8th, we, Counselor Shepherd and Counselor Rowe, we did an outreach at the farmers market, Seashell Farmers Market. So we were available to ask questions and get comments and so on. And I think it was a lot of fun. For me, it just made it feel like we were, we're approachable, hopefully, and people felt comfortable coming to talk to us. And I thought it was a great use of time, and we got some good feedback that we'd like to, we'll be sharing with you, but it was a great day.
Great.
So, yeah, thanks.
All right, thank you. Counselor Shepherd.
Yeah, I'll echo that. It was really Councillor Rowe's idea, and we do really appreciate feedback from people. So I thought it was an innovative idea to sort of just hear what people would like to say. So it was a great idea. Apart from that, July 14th, Friends of the Library had their book sale. They're having them every 2 weeks. Please support the book sale if you can, because all the money goes directly to the library. July 15th, East Porpoise Bay Barbecue. Thank you to your worship for attending. And July 17th, I did the walkabout with the Seashell Downtown Business Association. I thought some great ideas for activating certain areas of the downtown and some things that we should think about going forward. Thank you.
Point of clarification, I was there as a resident. Counselor Rowe.
Thanks. No, what these two didn't tell you about was the fun that we had. So we played a couple games. One was Seashell Trivia, which was taken from the annual report. So people had to match up, how many streetlights we have and with the right answer. And I think it was a Councillor Inkster that actually won and got 3 right out of 10 out of the whole day. So not bad for a lifetime of government, I suppose. The other question was, we asked residents to cut taxes by 1%, and we gave them a choice of 10 things. And what would they be interested in? They weren't interested in much. They were interested in cutting our salaries. However, that wouldn't even result in a 0.5% of a tax reduction. So things we heard a lot about was rental housing. For sure. Councillor Shepherd, I think, was the gabbiest of the 3 of us. So he may have had some other conversations, but I sure heard a lot about rental housing. And I heard a lot about, there's, of course, wasn't maybe the brightest idea to do it 4 days after taxes were due. However, it did start a lot of conversation around why are taxes so high. We had a discussion around our lack of or how in Seashell the residential taxpayer carries the burden by about, depending who you listen to, anywhere to 15-ish% more than we should, due to lack of industry and other things. So that was great conversation to have. And the thing that struck me, the first person that came along said, I would cut taxes by not paving any roads because the Ministry of Highways is responsible for that. To which I said, yes, but the 105 kilometers of roads that we are responsible for, would you like those lines painted? And they had no idea. So there is, I think we need, the more we can do this kind of stuff was great, would be great. So I'm hoping that the other councillors want to come on out and do some as well. The other things, it's been pretty busy. Yeah, it's been too busy to find the right page with the I had a legacy fund meeting with the community forest, so that's in process. We had a great day at the farmer's market. And we had the community safety task force meeting. So I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes talking about that. If you'll indulge me, because this is kind of one of those things that's going to take on a life of its own if I'm not careful. So we've had 2 meetings. We've basically set the foundation with the group for the work that we're going to do. So we've gone through the terms of reference. We've, talked about how this committee is going to work. We've talked about the fact that it is a working committee. In other words, it's not just going to be myself or staff that go away with work, that every committee member is going to have a responsibility, which they're ecstatic about, and being actually involved in this work. What the community can expect, well, you can expect for us to show up and work hard. God, if that doesn't sound like a politician, nothing will. But I'm pretty committed to making that happen. And one of the ways that we're going to make that happen is have a committee work plan. And we will present that to council as per the terms of reference, which is every 3 months, I believe. So we're expecting that first piece of that to come at the end of September. And so that's going to involve laying out the concerns that have been raised to us. Do we ourselves have any bright ideas about how to address it? What that would entail, the information we need to find out, we'll go out and find it. That'll be part of the work plan. Is it going to cost money? Hello, council. Hello, Director Douglas. All that sort of information will be on this plan that will be presented to council and the community so that you know that what we're up to. That being said, as Councillor McLaughlin stated earlier, there will also be monthly minutes that make their way through to council. How we're going to communicate with the community. The first thing that we have set up is a community safety email that I'm going to be having discussions with our communications manager to talk about how to get that out to the public and what the purpose of said email will be. I'm going to attend the Seashell Village Community Association in August, and I'm going to attend the next SCAF to get the word out around what we're doing and what the plan is. I'm sure that in our future, there's going to be some community dialogues on various topics as they relate to community safety. I do want to reiterate, though, that this is not an overnight fix situation. And there was one more thing I just had in my mind, but it escapes me. If I come to it before the end, I'll think.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
it. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to take a shot at that. Oh, I did. Sorry. Nope. One more thing. Sorry, Councillor McLaughlin. I see you've got a list. I'm frightened. What my list? I know. I'm sorry. This is a long report, but I wanted to bring this up. There's a provincial program that Councillor Bell and I saw at AVICC. We spent some time at their booth. I'm not sure if you remember, Donna, but it was for the PACT team, PACT, so peer assisted care teams that the province is funding. At the time, there was only 3 communities that had them, and they're all pilot projects. The province is expanding that program, and they're looking for people to recommend their community. Now, I know our community has also already been recommended by some citizens out there. There is also, though, a option to recommend it as a municipality, and I've just got to think that that's got to have more teeth because they're going to know right away that the municipality would be in support of it. Just what it is a community-led response to a mental health crisis conducted by a peer and a mental health professional. You can go to the Canadian Mental Health Association. You can read all about it. They are looking to expand, as I said. And I think the other thing that we did in the last little bit was the quarterly reporting with the RCMP, and your worship made a great point. And I've lost the little Post-it note that I wrote it down on at work, but I think the Sunshine Coast is responsible for 1.65% of the mental health calls in the province. And we are 0.6% of the provincial population. So we are 3 times basically over the average. So they're really looking for communities to be totally transparent from the north and the interior. The third option is a community that can show its need. And I mean, based on that stat alone, I would be interested in having us nominate our community. There's a long process. And I had a corporate officer check it out, and there's lots of steps before we're committed to any, you'd have to be chosen. There has to be a community service organization. The district wouldn't be getting in the business of mental health care. But I was curious, wanted to test the thoughts of council on that. Now I'm done.
Is that all?
You asked.
Give me here in front of your camera there. All right, thank you. I think there's so much in what you just said with the community safety and the PACT. I think we need to look at that, like on paper. I'm not very good at distilling a complex thing verbally. So if I might, I think I'm seeing some nods. Perhaps we can put that on a soon agenda. Does that work? Yeah. And I think it's fair to say, well, maybe I'll get shot for this, but community safety will, with the minutes and perhaps a more formal update for the meeting in 2 weeks. Yeah. Councillor Rowe, that was directed at you.
Oh.
Say yes.
We don't have another meeting in the next 2 weeks, but I can do a more formal report for you guys if
Right.
that's the desire of council.
Great, I think so. Okay, I did point to Councillor Toth, and then we'll go to Councillor McLaughlin.
It's okay, Councillor McLaughlin. I'll keep it super short. Didn't do a whole lot with council in the last couple of weeks. I did stop by to say hi to the folks that were at the farmers market there that Saturday. And I just wanted to thank the farmers market for putting up with my fellow members of council for an entire morning. I wasn't able to attend the annual picnic for East Porpoise Bay, but I'm really glad that 72-hour emergency kit that I won as a raffle at AVICC has gone to a good home. So yeah, emergency preparedness, right? And then that's actually through a Vancouver outfit, 72hours.ca. So that's all I have for District of Seashell. Thanks.
Great, thank you. We'll come back to you in a minute. Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, I was interested in the farmer's market get together. I don't know if they charged you for a table.
Speak to the microphone. just-
Yeah, but maybe I can get my own table next time.
They do a couple community booths every week, so you just need to book it with the fellow, John.
Okay,
Yeah, and there's no charge.
good. And the downtown walk, I didn't go on that. I don't remember getting a formal invitation for that, so I'm sorry I missed that because of course I live in the downtown and I'd like to have gone on that walk as well. I do believe I'm the appointee along with Darren for the Downtown Business Association. Again, we haven't had meetings on that. I understand Councillor Shepherd has been going to some meetings, but that doesn't explain why I don't know about the meetings. I would like to be informed of when those meetings take place. Because of course, I live in the village and I'm probably downtown there every day. So I'm definitely available for that. Also, I attended the meetings at the SCRD regarding water, the 2 meetings that one day. It was quite a huge eye opener and a shock to find out that, we don't have the water we thought we had. We need more water than we thought we do from different sources. Chapman is not that reliable, so it's really got my spidey senses up for how we really put water again as the top priority, which was what I ran on, water, capital letters, water. I also went with very low tides. I went to Sergeant's Bay on the weekend to see how the starfish are doing in Half Moon Bay, et cetera. And I'm happy to say that it was a beautiful day for people to experience those beautiful low tides on the Sunshine Coast. It's just such a treasure to live here in that regard. And I did see some starfish, which makes me very happy. I have a lot of things here, but I also, since I do live in the village, I hate to remind people that at the Rain Tree or Rain City housing area, there is quite a large encampment that is set up there. And that, we still have the problems that we always had here since we came to office. So it's going to be a growing concern. And we need some immediate solutions, I think. So I'm hoping something comes forward for that, because we've had
have
letters from
suggestions?
neighbors and that are very concerning.
Do you have suggestions, Councillor McLaughlin?
Well, I haven't been involved. I went when we had the consultant come, and then we were told we as council.
No, I'm just asking you.
So I don't know what the suggestions are.
No, I'm
I haven't
asking
heard
from
any
you.
suggestions from people in committees.
Oh, no.
So I would rather hear that first before I give my suggestions. But I do say, Brenda, when you go to our community meeting, be ready to have a fairly large group of people that are going to perhaps be somewhat hostile. Just heads up there.
Okay, Councillor Rowe, that's okay. Yeah.
Also, maybe speaking to the health issues, I know we're going to the, maybe Brenda can give us as part of her summary.
Councillor Rowe.
Sorry, Councillor Rowe, going to a primary health care network system for NBC. So that's quite a revolutionary change. I remember experiencing that a little bit in Alberta. So I think it'd be helpful to have that as a framework. And also one of the things that one of the meetings that I attended with the local government meetings in Nanaimo was the community health network idea, which I believe is sort of at its infancy in Pender Harbor. And I would like to see us build on that if possible. So there are programs and possibilities for us to build better healthcare on the Sunshine Coast for everybody in the community through just working together closely and caring and sharing. Those are the main things there for now. Thank you.
Okay, yes, okay, thank you, Councillor Bell.
Right.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Councillor McLaughlin, just so for clarification, there were 2 dates given for the walkabout. I couldn't make that one as well, but the next one is July 31st at 11 a.m. And also you don't need to get your own table because we have an August 9th was the next one we wanted to do at the farmer's market, I believe. So we welcome you to be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. Okay, let's, so I think that leaves it to me, and I would maybe start, we had a very brief meeting, Minister of Housing, Callan, came to Seashelt amongst several other appointments last Thursday, I believe it was, or Friday, with our MLA. I was able to take them on a very quick trip around and show them the shelters, show them the homeless folks. And we, with our CAO and some staff, really tried to give them a flavor of the challenges that we face. So in what amounted to 35 or 40 minutes, we gave them a pretty direct introduction to the challenges. On a brighter note, I wanted to publicly congratulate our Siobhan Smith, who has taken over a new challenge. She's moving into the manager of community services, which involves her being responsible for the day-to-day operations of parks and community services. So congratulations to her. She's not on the call, but she can watch on YouTube. I don't know how many of you are aware, but something we should be very, very proud of are two gentlemen by the names of Captain Matt Gilroy and Assistant Chief Dwight Davidson. And about a week and a half ago, they were called to Burns Lake. And so they drove the one of the fire department's tenders, that's like the pumper truck, up to Prince George. That's a long drive if you've done it. Got a little bit of sleep, left very early the next morning, went to Burns Lake and worked for about a week and turned around and came back. So they're now back safe and sound, but it just makes it more personal, the challenges that we are, that we know we're facing real risks, but I wanted to acknowledge both of them for their efforts. And of course, so many people that are moving from all over the world to come here to help us. And I guess we do the same. So thank you, guys. Conservation, we've talked a bit about it. The chief was certainly a supporter. If you've got a fire extinguisher, please put it in your car, because it'd be amazing how many occasions you might be driving along and just see a little bit of smoke. If you can get that now, that saves a lot. Of course, prior to that, if you happen to be somebody who's in the habit of throwing something out of the window that has a bit of a burning ember, please don't. And I was told by the chief when I called him today, no outdoor fires. The RCMP under the Wildfire Act are now charging people, fining people $1,150. So for every person, this is not something I realized. It's not just, somebody that lit the fire, but if we're all sitting around the campfire, that can apply to all of us. Yeah. So kudos for them doing it. But let's not even, I'd rather not collect the money. I'd rather not have the fires. Other than that, I had three picnics last weekend, thanks to East Porpoise Bay and and the divisions of family practices had a nice event down in Gibson's. Boy, we really need to take care of our GPs, because if we get them, what can we do to keep them? What was the last one? Oh dear. It was great. Sunday night, yes, yeah. And last but not least, I've had requests, so I'll be meeting with anybody who wants to come, and council included, on this Saturday afternoon for anybody who wants to talk about issues that are of concern, 2:30 to about 4. And you'll be surprised, council, to hear that it's at Buccaneers beside Lighthouse Pub. So that is my report. I had a gentle reminder through my technology that I neglected to deal with matters arising, council, from the minutes. And one of the things that we neglected last meeting was to get an appointment or appointments to the airport committee. And so we agreed in the resolution that we would have council appointees, but we didn't do it. So did anybody happen to want to volunteer? Yeah. Okay. You're such. Okay. Yeah. Because I'm going to volunteer as well. Not to, you'll be it and I'll be. Okay. Is that all right? So we'll take a motion. Thank you, Councillor Bell and Toth. Moved and seconded to appoint Councillor Shepherd as the appointee, and I'll be the alternate. All in favor? Carried. Did I miss anything else, Ms. Paulson? Not so far? Okay, then we move to the SCRD report, and Councillor Toth, please.
Councillor Inkster's not here tonight, so I guess it's all me. July 6th, special board meeting on everything water. I did let everybody know in advance of that meeting, so I did see that most of council was paying attention to it. Pretty comprehensive update on sort of where all the projects are at so far, where our various supplies of water are coming from. Currently, 61% of our water is actually coming from Chapman, with the rest divided between Church, Shasta, and Gray Creek. There was a contract award issued for the update of the groundwater study, which will include the drilling of 3 additional test wells. And the focus is going to be in sort of the west of Seashelt area within the regional water service. Staff are going to be bringing back some options to fund an additional 2 test wells under the contract, which is going to require some additional budget. In the name of on-the-job training, I actually coached my committee vice chair last week through running his first meeting. And I just wanted to say that Director Bax actually did a stellar job of running the meeting. And I look forward to finding ways to help other elected sort of develop and grow throughout the term. Tomorrow is an electoral area services meeting, which I'll actually be attending because there is a variance request on there from TELUS for some cabins up at Collie Point. And Seashelt doesn't have any say or input into it otherwise because it occurs up in the rural area. So I'll be there, happy to provide any feedback. I do have some notes as well. And there's also a regional hospital district meeting at 1 and a finance committee meeting at 2. But nothing substantial out of either of those on the agenda anyways. In terms of the fire stuff, I did also participate in a call last week where it was mayors and chairs around the province. And so because I was already at the regional district, we had the chair log into the call and put it sort of on the TVs in the room. And couple things to highlight out of there that, as of July 10th, 1,700 personnel, 101 helicopters and 34 planes currently fighting wildfires in the province. And that as of July 10th, 81 of the stream gauge stations that the province runs, which is 24% of them, were at their lowest level ever recorded for that time period. So it's bad. And it's not just bad here. It's bad everywhere. So thank you.
Great. Sobering. Okay, so we then move to the engineering and operations capital projects update, and I believe we have Mr. Dillon there. You are. And council, we have a report starting on, what is it, 1/20/30? Yes. So is there any particular highlights, Mr. Dillon, that you'd like to reference? I think we've seen the report, of course, read it, but
yeah, I think the big highlight is the opening of the operations center and our first customer at the Sani station. $10 per drop off. If some of you own recreational vehicles. So things are going well and we're looking forward to the opening event. I think that's a big highlight of this update.
great. Yes, thank you. And I think my understanding is staff are progressively moving into the new facility as we speak. So well, perhaps not at this very moment, Councillor Toth. Yes. Never know. Okay, Council, do you have questions of this report? Yes, please, Councillor Bell.
Actually, just never thought I'd be excited about Sani dump, but I'm very happy to see that it's open and I think it's great in terms of the location. So really good to hear that and congratulations on getting that running.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Feedback has been very positive from the public.
Okay, can you, Mr. Dillon, then on, from my point, question would be about the washroom at Snicket Park. This is something that's been on our plate since most of us took office. Any insight when we're going to be able to use it? Trying to figure out where to look at you. So
I knew you would ask that, Your Worship. I asked Julie, our project manager, before the meeting if she had any update, and she has none. It's something that was promised that it would be expedited, so I don't know where exactly is that. I think it's just a matter of following up with the province and trying to make this a priority for them. But that's really been the the holdup has been the archaeological permitting on that. We're waiting for a site alteration permit, so yeah, patiently waiting.
Patiently might be not the word I would choose, but okay, anything else, council? Have you? Okay. And I'll take a motion to receive the report from the engineering and operations team. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Mr. Dillon, and thank the team. I see, by the way, inlet was closed this morning, but it should be open. I believe I didn't get out, so it's open, so good. So that was to punch one pipe across the road. So a few hours closure, but anyways, that's gonna look great. Great, that brings us to any emergency items. I'll take that as a no. And anything else, council?
I just have 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes, 90 seconds tops.
I just wanted to answer some of Councillor McLaughlin's comments during our reports. First of all, once you've run a vaccine program through COVID, there's nothing anyone can say to me at any village association meeting that is going to hurt my feelings. So just, I want to be clear on that. And I know there's a lot of angst about GPs, family doctors leaving our community. I just want to put it out there because I'm not sure everyone knows, but when physicians come from another country to Canada and to BC, they do 2 years of residency, and then they have to do 2 years as a payback in an underserved area, of which the Sunshine Coast is. So a lot of these doctors that are leaving, it was never their intention to stay. They've come to the end of their return of service and they're going back to where they might have, you know, their extended families and such. And it's just unfortunate that, you know, they're not being right now, not able to recruit at the same pace that they appear to be leaving. And with regards to Councillor McLaughlin's comments around a primary care network, a primary care network is something that the government and health authorities have been working on for a long time already. And it's slow, mostly from a human resource point of view. But what it would look like would you as a patient would go see your physician at your clinic. And within that clinic, they would have all the other services embedded. So you would have, there would be a social worker that works out of the clinic, an OT, a PT, case managers for seniors, like all the sort of things right now that you have to go to different places to would be embedded in that clinic. And that's the ultimate goal of a primary care network. And we are finally making progress. I see we as the general, I'm not involved in that project, but it is making progress. Pender Harbor is a community health center. So that's a model for something I think the government would like to see more of. And Pender Harbor, they've been doing it for years because they're really feisty and active up there over the past few decades. And, you know, they have their own health society and et cetera. And within that community health center, they have contracts with Vancouver Coastal Health, which is why they can deliver things like lab work and home care nursing and that sort of thing. A community health network, you got to love the acronyms in healthcare. CHN, which we heard about at AVICC, which is very big on the island, is actually a network. It's not a building, it's a network of organizations that all come together and work together to identify needs and fill those needs as they relate to health in the community they serve or the area they serve. I think it's a really brilliant model. I know Mayor Whiten Gibsons feels the same way. And it's something that I would love to see here on the Sunshine Coast. I think we have super valuable nonprofits out there as a starting point, and I think we're more powerful together. So that's the lesson in acronyms for this council meeting, Your Worship. I am done. Thank you.
You owe me 37 seconds.
Whatever.
All right, council, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain